All right, it's now 28 minutes to 7 o'clock, and it's time for us to review the dailies before we get into the political point later on, right here on Morning Express. And do we have on the panel this morning? Well, to my extreme left, I have nominated Member of Parliament, Honorable David Sangok. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Karibu sana. We also have Professor Wajakoya, who is with us and is quite familiar to many of us. Karibu sana. We're also expecting Honorable Ayub Savula, Member of Parliament for Lugari, to be joining us as we carry on with the conversation. But for now, we're going to look at the dailies, and we start off with the Standard. And the Standard, well, looks like a follow-up to the President's directive of lifestyle audits. And this is KRA man's 600 million wealth on 100,000 shillings pay. And this is one Mr. Joseph Chege Gekonyo. Now, the thing is, he earns 119,000 Kenyan shillings. However, his wealth is questionable according to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, given the pieces of land that he owns all over the country, mainly in the coastal region, but also the amount of money that he has in his account. Let me start with you, Honorable Sangok, on first of all, do you agree with the lifestyle audit, and is this the direction to take?
Yes, of course, the lifestyle audit, we do agree with it because we have to get the thieves that have stolen money from the public for a long time. And let us do a lifestyle audit thoroughly, because we cannot just do a lifestyle audit in piecemeal. Like what I've seen in the Standard today is that the guy earns 119,000 Kenyan shillings.
Correct.
Vis-a-vis what he owns as 600 million. But do we really know other business that the guy owns?
Actually, according to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, there is no recorded other income.
Yes, that is what we are saying. We should also see other incomes and also be able to scrutinize. Does this guy drink? Does he smoke? What is the expense that come with his life? Because, you know, you can earn 1 million, but your expenses are 1.2. So you'll die a poor man, poorer than a chokora, because you'll die negative. But somebody else may earn 30,000, but his expense is 5,000. So all over years,
he's able to accumulate.
He's able to accumulate, buy property, and then this property again become a source of income. So we want really a thorough lifestyle audit. And what I've said time and time again, and I'll repeat it here, that let us get all the thieves. A thief of public fund and a thief of public land. Because you know what we are forgetting is that we have the TGRC report, we have the Akoimi report. Those are also thieves who have stolen our land. And you know, it is better for you to steal even money than to steal my inheritance. You know, land, we cannot replenish land.
We cannot.
So we have to get all of them. So let the lifestyle audit be tied with the TGRC and Akoimi report.
So you're in full agreement of the lifestyle audit?
Full agreement.
100%.
100%. Okay. For me, it will be like writing my life history. I'll be just too willing to say where I started my clinic, under a tree, and the progress that I have made over
And as
years.
a public servant, as a member of parliament, have you declared your wealth?
I have declared it severally. I'm willing to declare it right now. And you know, my friend, even mine, go to View Sasa. Go to most of these channels, you will see, because I always declare in public, declare it in written. When I'm requested to declare, I also even walk in EACC and give them my wealth declaration forms, fully filled.
So you're fully transparent?
I really like transparency, and we really need every Kenyan to be transparent and to tell us, how did you acquire 1,000 acres of land? How did you get 600 million, for instance? If you worked for that money,
then you should be able to show us the paper trail of how you know,
sometimes it's so easy. Just ask for a bank statement. You know, if somebody deposited 300 million into your account, we would like to know, what have you sold?
Yeah, what is it that you sold? What?
You know, those are 300,000 Probox. You know, have you sold a piece of land? That is almost half of award in Kajiado. So have you sold that half of award?
Explain to us how that has come about. All right, Professor, your thoughts on this KRA man 600 million wealth on 100,000 Kenyan shillings. And this, of course, is not what some would term as big fish, but all the same, questionable amounts of money in your account vis-a-vis how much you're earning, raises a red flag.
First of all, I'm very thankful to KTN for inviting my friend Sangok, who has hosted me occasionally in his home in Narok. And I really like this man. That one I have to tell God in front of every Kenyan. But having said so, lifestyle audit should not come after the fact. It should be before the fact. Because right now we do not know how this man accumulated this wealth. But the question is, did the government have this policy? Had it put this policy before? Like, you want to employ me, employing me knowing who I am. Not this issue of asking me on television like the SRC commission yesterday. Ask me by actually investigating me first, because I can tell you I'm worth 20 million, but probably I'm worth 50 million. So when it comes to what this gentleman has, I call him gentleman because I don't know whether he got some charities somewhere, or whether his parents were rich, or whether he was actually... In
other words, you're giving him the benefit of doubt.
Well, we need first of all to know whether he inherited something, because we could be blaming him without knowing whether he got the money from his...
Okay, but do you think, generally speaking, this is something we have not seen before, and the direction that even the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is taking seems to be bearing some fruit?
Well, as I would rather say that Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission
EACC
is more corrupt than itself, because it ought to have done these things before. Why now? Mheshimiwa, why couldn't they do these things those days when things were very hot?
The argument was that there was no goodwill at the top. Maybe now there's goodwill from the top as a result.
Prof, this is a very independent institution. Yes. And as you have rightly put it, you know, it is like sending a thief to catch another thief. So you tell him, this thief have stolen. So they go there and ask the thief, how much have you stolen? 600 million. So what is our cut there? That is what has been happening. That is why...
So are you of the opinion then we should disband EACC?
Yes, it should be part
Honorable Sangok.
Not only EACC, even our courts. You know, it's so funny. Somebody slaughtered a cat today. By tomorrow, he's already convicted. We know how many years he has been sent to jail. Somebody had a relationship, a girl of 24 years had a relationship with a boy of 16 years. Yet we know this relationship happened at night. I don't know how they got the evidence. They gathered the evidence. Within a very short time, we know that the girl has been sent to jail for 15 years. Yet somebody came and accepted that he carried sacks of money. Public fund, in quarries, and they are not in jail. We have so many billions lost in NYS. NYS 1, NYS 2. Yet nobody is in jail. When you ask the judiciary, they say the evidence were weak. Which one are weaker? Is it the money that we deposit? Because we pay all the government money through IFMIS. So we pay through the banks. Is it the evidence through the banks that are weak, or the evidence of collecting evidence of somebody who had a relationship at night? These ones are deposited during daytime.
But maybe then they'll argue that it's the office of the DPP that did not table enough evidence and enough to have a conviction, because at the end of the day, the courts only go with what has been presented to them.
My friend, you know, these excuses are justification of failures. And when somebody fails, they will have all the excuses. So why are you very quick in ordering for the production of Miguna in court, and you cannot order for the production of bank statements of thieves? Why are you really...
Professor.
Okay, Professor.
Yes. In fact, I really love what Mheshimiwa is saying. One thing people don't talk about are these banks. Banks should be closed, if possible. Why does a bank accept a bulk of money without asking? In UK, for example, and the US, you cannot take 2,000 shillings or pounds to the bank without justification. The bank will ask you, where did you get this money from? If not, then they will call in detectives to come and find out. Money laundering. In Kenya, banks have become money laundering schemes. Banks should be put on a pedestal to be questioned. How do you put all this money in the bank without the bank asking you for the source? Mheshimiwa's salary comes from Parliamentary Salary Commission or wherever it is to the bank, and the bank knows that this money is coming from this source. But in Kenya now, if you want to get another Switzerland, go to any bank. Banks.
But you know what it all boils down to, gentlemen, because we've talked about the EACC, we've talked about the judiciary, now we're talking about the banks. I think it boils down to individuals. We just have corrupt individuals, because when it comes to the banks do have regulations that govern them to a point where if money came in over a certain amount, then there is a red flag they're supposed to question. But if those questions are not being asked, somebody somewhere is compromised. When it comes to the EACC, the structures are in place as to how they should conduct investigations. If that's not being done, then there is a problem. When it comes to the judiciary, they have a structure which is supposed to govern how they work. So I think really what we're dealing with is corrupt individuals rather than institutions.
And that is why I'm telling you, my friend, the problem we have been having in Kenya is this thing of pointing fingers to the government, not knowing that 5 fingers are pointing unto you, because it is the Kenyan people. Because the government does not supply meat to NYS. It is an individual, is a private investor, is a Kenyan who supply air and expect money. It is a Kenyan who bribe that police officer. But we point on the police officers that they are very corrupt. It is us Kenyans who are corrupt. So the fight against corruption should start from us. And I think, apart from Kenyans, the other failed institution is the judiciary. Because look at the executive. The executive, led by the president, have actually sent so many ministers within 5 years home. The president one day came with a list of shame to parliament, the last 11 parliament, and said these are the corrupt individuals. But where the cases of corruption have been failing is actually the courts. They have been dying in the courts. And let us, as Kenyans, question the right people. Let us go to the right place where things happen wrongly. Because if they convicted 2 of those 6 ministers sacked by the president,
There would be a change.
they will have been a change.
All right, and that's Matters Corruption. And of course, get yourself a copy of the Daily and find out that new development with this one, Mr. Joseph Chege Gekonyo, who basically has been flagged by the EACC and regarding his expenditure. But let's look at a different story. On page 6 of the Standard, schools will be closed over 6 billion, says union. And now, another perennial problem that we have had. And now I'd like to hear from you, gentlemen, whether this is an issue of leadership. What is the problem with our schools? The Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KUPPET, said that the Ministry of Education owed 6 billion, which should be released by tomorrow, or else it would advise principals to close their institutions. So school strikes are not strange to Kenya. It's something that has gone on and on for a long time. But now they claim without that 6 billion, schools just might be closed. Mheshimiwa Sangoka, shida iko wapi hapa?
You know, my friend, shida iko kwa hii trade unions. You know, we have given a lot of power to trade unions. Just 6 people to sit in Nairobi, threaten the whole government. You remember the other time, just before election, how many strikes did we have? And it is just a few individuals who are sitting there in Nairobi and deciding for thousands of Kenyans that we have to go on strike.
But
we have
they have been given we assume they have been given the mandate by the people to do that. The same way you as a member of parliament are representing a number of people.
That is an assumption that we have been making because the election process of this official, you remember the other day when Sosion was being moved out, kicked out. No, he does not want to go out. You see the issue of Atwoli, who have been the Secretary General of Kotu ever since I was born. He's not retiring, and he's pointing a finger on presidents of Africa who don't want to retire. This guy is past intellectual menopause. He don't want to retire. My friend, you know, these are people who sit and decide on behalf of the other people. And that is why I want the election of trade unionists to be conducted by IEBC first. And again, we have amended the labor law. I'm in the labor committee of parliament. So that there is a threshold for you to call for a strike. 60%. You know, why do you have normally a simple majority in parliament or 2/3 majority in parliament for us to pass very crucial laws? A strike is a very crucial thing in our country. And, you know, they have been holding the country at ransom. Imagine just before exam, that is when they call for a strike. Now, supposing the policemen decide that way. The moment we are attacked by Al-Shabaab, they down their tools. The doctors. The moment there is a very
So you think the problem is on the leadership of KUPPET and the trade union?
That is where the leadership is. And we should kick them out.
Kick them out.
Yes.
All right, Professor, your thoughts on this? You're an academia, and we see our schools perennial strikes that we have had time and again, and another one now is looming.
Lifestyle audit on all members of KUPPET, number one. Number two, I am against trade unions, and God knows. Even Satan on the other side also sometimes supports me. When Margaret Thatcher took over in the UK, the trade union system had actually crippled the British government. There was too much libertarian theories. Everybody was like, my right, my right, my right. And the economy of Britain was going down, down. The Labour Party, the Labour government had actually held the British people at ransom for a very, very long time. And remember that it was during that particular time when apartheid was at its highest peak, supported by the so-called. Now, when it comes to this issue of trade unions, let us ask ourselves two questions. Why is it that when Matiang'i was there and dealt with them, crucially, things started going out this way? We have a cartel in trade unions. We have a cartel in KOTU. We have a cartel in KUPPET. These people's lifestyle audit ought to be before they speak, because they are ruining. They are ruining society. Why wouldn't they also be sympathetic and say, let us actually take it this way? A parent like me and my friend Sangok, who has a child in the school, who will never sit for an exam, because every time an exam comes in, there is a problem. These people should go home. I'm sorry, I don't mind how they view, I don't mind about the Constitution, but it's these cartels in trade unions that should be done with. KOTU, for example, Atwoli should go home, should have gone home long time ago. Because what he's doing, what he has done, and I'm a lawyer like him, and I will tell him, let lawyers condemn me today. Let us find out what Atwoli has done for the so-called lawyer community since he took over, apart from...
Okay, I am assuming he's second for trade union. I don't know how the lawyer...
You are talking about lawyers, but me, I have to take cover now, because majority of the members of the Labour Committee are actual trade unionists, and I'm sure they're listening to me. So for the next 3 or 4 weeks, I'll have to take cover from the Labour Committee.
From the Labour Committee.
Because I know they will be at my neck, but you are wrong, and you have done injustice to this country.
All right. We'll take another story on page 12 of the Standard before we move on to the Nation, and this is to do with MPs vetting Chumo despite graft charges in court. And this, of course, raised a lot of conversation on social media, with Kenyans coming out to say, how dare he come before the committee, yet he has graft charges, corruption charges before the court. Your thoughts, Member of Parliament, Honorable Sangok, on this? Do we have a time where, as Kenyans, we can raise our threshold of integrity to a point where, even when indicated or named in a certain area, you'd be honorable enough to, say, despite the fact that I think I am not guilty, for the sake of public, integrity, I will forgo this one?
My friend, it's so funny. I heard there was a minister, I think from India, when a train got an accident. The minister said, yes, I'm the Minister of Transport. There was a train that got an accident. I'll have to resign. Now, Kenya, you have slept in court. You have slept in jail. You have taken to court. You have graft charges. And you don't even feel ashamed to walk through that same door that make the laws that took you to court and come and present yourself ati unataka kiti. Jameni. Unajua watu waogopi dhambi, waogopi Mungu. Sijui hii kitu. Unajua Ben Chumo is a friend of mine, but I'm telling you, my friend. Yeah.
If you're in the same position, what would you do? What you would do as David Sangok do?
My friend, it was only David Sangok who retired at the age of 38 from the National Council for Persons with Disability to create an opportunity for another person with disability to lead that institution they call home. Now they are in a World Disability Summit in UK, co-hosted by Kenya. I'm also a member of Parliament. I decided, since I was in New York, representing persons with disability on the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, let me give an opportunity to another person with disability. It is not only me that is disabled. You see, even if I have been their chairman for a long time and I have all these policies, I'll tell them what I've been saying to the nation. So, for me, if it was me, I will not even dare
To walk into that.
To walk into for an interview. Which interview? Are we supposed to put you to committee? Or,
all right, Prof, your thoughts on Chub Benjum?
I just love what Sangok is saying today. I don't know whether it's the same Sangok that I know. Surely, shame on this man. This man is a Harvard student. Is he not a Harvard graduate? A man who is so intellectually capacitated to do
But
stuff.
Prof, as a lawyer, you're a lawyer, and the law does tell us that he is innocent until proved guilty.
Laws,
so he maybe has a point.
Some laws stink. Some laws stink. Even if I'm a professor of law, we have got what we call the social responsibility and the moral responsibility. As a lawyer, I've refused to go to court to represent these people. I've been asked to represent one or two, and I said, no, even if they are guilty or not guilty, I am not going. I'm standing with you on this one.
Now, my friend, I know I have told you about the story of a minister of transport. Was he the captain that was driving that train?
Absolutely
no,
not.
But because of integrity.
We even have an MP in the UK who came late for a meeting and resigned on those grounds that he was late for that
In fact,
meeting.
in some places, you are charged with corruption, you go and hang yourself.
But Honorable Sangok,
one of these three.
You're a member of parliament. What conversations do you have with your colleagues? Because, I mean, some of them, we've seen them also with various charges, but still not stepping down. It's a culture that has been created by our leaders. And you're one of our leaders.
Give us an example, because for me, I don't know one of the members of parliament who have been charged with corruption charges and they have not stepped down. And again, these are people who are elected by their representative, the people from the different constituencies. So if there are corruption allegations against them, the moral authority lies on the political party to say, yes, we don't want to be associated with people who are corrupt.
Okay.
So they whip him or her of the party, probably leadership or even the party ticket and so on, and the party membership.
All right. I want us to wind up because of time, and let's look at the Daily Nation. Amina puts last nail in the land deal. We do know that this has been an issue that has been going in circles. Education Cabinet Secretary puts a show of flying with angels by tabling evidence which shows Ruaraka school land purchase was a scam, but would not cast out the demons by naming culprits. So she stopped at naming culprits. Again, we go back to what you were saying, Honorable Sangok. We are able to, pass judgment very easily on somebody who skinned a cat and killed a cat, but on a land deal that is worth billions, we still cannot find a culprit.
I thought this matter was in court. And if it was in court, why would Amina, a lawyer, a distinguished lawyer, comment on matters sub judice?
So are you saying that she should not have commented?
No. In my opinion, why would she comment on matters which are in court?
Professor, relax. Us will comment.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. Because the problem have been the land registration officers. You know, we have been going all in circle. There are people being evicted from Mao Forest. And there are people who are holding genuine title deeds. Genuine title deeds issued by the land offices.
Correct.
Now tell me, my brother, if you are given a title deed from the land office, how will you have spiritual eyes to see which one is fake, which one is in the forest, which one is in the school compound, and you have been given by the same land officers? You know where we will start this issue of Ruaraka? Is first of all to see where is the title deed. Who issued that title deed? Let us get, first of all, that person. Because at the moment, if we fight against people who are in, especially Masai Mau, and for sure, we will conserve the forest. Mau forest must be conserved at all costs. But those people with genuine title deeds that are inside the forest, we will have to ask ourselves, who issued this title deed? And if it is a land officer, we will have to do, first of all, a lifestyle audit. And that is why I'm requesting the president. You say you ordered for a lifestyle audit of all procurement officers, and they actually stepped aside. Please, in the same breath, order for a lifestyle audit for all land registration officers in all our 47 counties. And let them, first of all, step aside. If they are found culpable, if they are found to be having land that they don't deserve. You find somebody by the name Mishi having land inside the bush in Turkana. Let us ask, how did they acquire this land? And if they are found that they actually acquired this land irregularly, or there is 20 million deposited in their account, let the law take its course and let them be surcharged so that we can compensate people who are being evicted from Mau Forest, so that we can compensate them. Yeah.
All right, Honorable Sangoka, I'll pause you there because we want to take a short break. And Mau Forest, of course, has been on the headlines and something that we're going to discuss when we come back with Political Point. It's now 3 minutes to 7, time for us to release KTN home viewers for Life and Style. To begin, for us on KTN News, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, it's time for Political Point, and there's quite a lot that we need to discuss right here. So we take that break. We'll be right back.